So, this video, I'm going to dedicate it for the Lion community. Um, as I think it was yesterday that there was a debate concerning uh, automatic transmission for Peugeot vehicles, and a few other things that were added in the debate. You could call it an argument, but I was like, okay, I think there's no point trying to join on that, but let me probably do a video to explain, because I know the old members of the community already knows what I'm going to talk about, or even answer to all these questions. But we always have new members. But what I want to encourage is the new members, please, what you are not sure of, ask questions. Yeah, you could probably have owned your Peugeot car, have owned many Peugeot cars for years now, or more than a decade, different models. But when you are in the land community, this is a privilege. If I to be honest, it's a privilege, because this community was set up for one reason: to cut off the noise. When you go outside there in the online, and try to make an inquiry, you get distorted information. People coming with their own biases. There's nothing wrong. Almost everybody has a bias on various subjects, especially when they have that particular thing they want to talk about, or one way or the other. But then the objectivity is crowded. You hardly get the true facts. But this committee was set off. That's why it's being strictly um managed, so that information doesn't go out of hand from not just, of course, not just Peugeot, but at least the brand of vehicle that shared same system, so that you can get right information. It doesn't mean every member will have the right information on certain questions or subjects on the Peugeot brand, or their systems that other brands shares or uses. But at least from the discussion, you can tell, okay, this makes sense, this doesn't make sense, and the rest. Rather than being, this, sometimes if you go outside here and ask for information, immediately you'll be discouraged, or make mockery of, so you hardly get that right information. Because of, like I said, the biases, and some people are just stupidly ignorant, and stick with those beliefs. So now, bringing it to what I'm doing this video for. But like I said, always ask questions. It doesn't necessarily, the response must not come from me, because there are also members who have had several experiences or learned in the past from other people as well, or also from me. Or, I mean, so they are always there to also share their own experiences and their knowledge. I also have technicians in the group as well that have also same understanding the way I do, and the rest. Rather than you making an assumption. I mean, just like yesterday in one of the Lion community uh, houses on WhatsApp, someone was saying uh, 406 doesn't have good fuel economy. I was like, I mean, of course, obviously the person have not experienced 406, or maybe even if he did, he was probably a messed up and abused one. But then he's probably got that wrong information from somewhere else, for a biased person or ignorant person, or from a stupid one, and assumed that, yeah. I was like, come on, how could you say that? I mean, of all Peugeot cars, and you're saying 406 for economy is not that good. Wow. So you could tell it's coming from an ignorant belief. So that's why I say ask the questions. What I would have suggested, if I were the person, I would have rephrased it like, is how good is 406 for economic, like compared to this other car or this. Yeah, rather than saying, making blanket statements. So, okay, so now automatic transmissions. People who have been listening to what are my position already know even what I'm about to say, right? So, let's start with performance before I even go into the main point. The performance wise, not all Peugeot, or let me put it a different way, not all automatic transmissions mounted on Peugeot vehicles from new uh, actually performs very well. So it doesn't mean they are bad, but I'm saying in terms of smooth shifting, response to acceleration, or we could say quick response to acceleration and the rest, some perform better than the others. Um, for example, L4, you find it in most Peugeot models produced from late 90s or early 2000 till um, up to a little bit above 2010. I think maybe it stopped around 2012 or something. I can't remember exactly. But the whole decade from, let's just say, 2000 to 2010 or even beyond that, yeah, you find it in most Peugeot vehicles with four-cylinder engine, Citroen, the rest. So it's a good gearbox, however. It's actually quite an adaptive gearbox. It's gearbox that learn how the driver drives, so it responds to the way you drive. It will first observe how you accelerate, like trying to capture your intention most times, how you want the car to downshift or upshift, and then it will adapt. So if another person comes in after a long drive of you, then the system will try to reset itself, try to learn again. If you are driving differently, if you are the type that don't like pressing throttle too hard, or just want to get the car to gradually increase speed rather than quick acceleration, it will adapt. So that's how good the system, the gearbox is. So however, the only thing I say in terms of performance or shifting, no, it's not that great. It doesn't don't expect it to shift as smooth as like AMCs. No. Um, Even for HP20 performs better in that regard. For HP20 AMCs or the gearboxes that were produced at that center perform better. But it doesn't mean L4 is bad. The only L4 I've driven that was like wow was the one, there was one 406 I inspected for a client, and he actually wanted to buy the car, but I kind of discouraged him. This car was like brand new. It was a direct Tokumbo 406 with is it 25,000 miles as it was new. This thing happened, was it 2018 or so? I know it was before COVID. Most new. So the engine, everything about the car was new. The reason why I discouraged the person, because he was ready to pay. In fact, he almost sent me the money, but he was insisting he wanted one with newer gadgets. So in other words, we were looking at the ones produced in 2003 or 2004. But this one was 2000, I think it was I don't think it was 1999, I think it was like 2000 production. It didn't have remote control behind the steering wheel, the rest. So as he was saying that, he said he wanted the newer version 2406. He had the money. That wasn't the problem. The problem was not the money. I mean, even the price of that car, if I say it here, some people will be like, wow. So but the point is, when I drove that car, it was as if it wasn't an air. I drove it on the expressway, Kubwa Express, during the test drive. It was as if it wasn't an air. So which could actually uh, prove that when they are newer, they are much better in terms of the shifting and the rest. But when they start aging, the other gearboxes that I just mentioned still they maintain that smoother shifting better than the AF4. The AF4 sometimes you want to downshift, it will shake the vehicle sometimes, not necessarily boom, but it doesn't really shift smooth. I mean, if you are used to AF4, there's nothing. I don't need to really describe it that much. All you need to take one for a drive. You understand? So that is that in terms of performance. The best, if I would say, that are more common on Nigerian road when it comes to performance is like 86. Of course, we have E86 and E88, but I'm talking of the ones you find uh, among the common cars, like um, I'm talking common car. I'm talking of between 206, 307, 406, 407, 607, 807, 207, 308, 508. The rest. All these cars you see mostly on Nigerian road. The best of them is 86. That's of performance. Yeah. Um, they respond much better to acceleration than the other ones. Doesn't mean they don't have that annoying thing. So most of them do. Almost all of them do that. Sometimes you press it down for into downshift, you will not downshift. It's not a problem. It's not a fault. It just has how Peugeot design or program their gearboxes to behave. If you even go to their user manual, you see that they will state it there that if you press your throttle down and it doesn't downshift, don't complain. It's not a problem. Even when they were brand new, that's how they design their gearboxes. Compared to other brand of cars that have their own gearboxes, those ones they are much quicker response to acceleration compared to most of these all automatic gearbox to in Peugeot vehicles. At least these other ones like AL4, 4HP20, AMCs. Yeah, so in that case, I would say other brand of cars. I don't know about all of them, but I know the ones I've driven, including Japanese. Yeah, in terms of performance, no, they are much better than the ones you find in Peugeot. It's only from that 86, I will tell you. The 86, you find them in turbocharged Peugeot engines, like in 207, I'm not sure. No, I think from 308, 508, 5008, 3008, which other brand model? Name them. That's where you find these gearboxes. You will drive, when you drive them, you know the difference is clear. So that is it for performance. So if you are choosing automatic transmission for Peugeot, now you understand. AMCs is good, but still quite very annoying sometimes when it comes to downshifting when you want it to. Yeah, it can be poor in that regard. So the performance is still not as good compared to 86. Now, the main thing why people are discouraged from automatic transmission is unwillingness to face reality or to acknowledge reality. That's how I put it. You know, they always look at if I'm spending 5,000 in maintaining 406 with manual transmission every month. That's the average cost in maintaining that one. I'm just saying hypothetically, that's if you are spending 5,000 in maintaining a manual 406 with EW10, then it should be the same with one with automatic transmission. That to me, that's living in delusion. Unless this is first time you are hearing that the ATF is meant to be regularly changed in this automatic transmission compared to that of manual. Like I said, that's unwillingness for people to, because even when people they will know this thing, yet they will still be expecting manual transmission. Trust me, they have their own issues. Here in Nigeria, they recommended their manual gearbox oil for this modern Peugeot cars. They are not available. And so most of them, they also tend to wear out or fail. These manual gearboxes. As most manual transmission users, they will tell you in Peugeot cars, probably at some point they've changed their gearboxes, or even more than once. Or some who probably don't know how to drive manual transmission very well, so they keep changing their clutch kit almost every now and then because it keeps failing because of how they drive, or maybe how somebody they gave the car drove the car, burnt or damaged the clutch kit. So it becomes an issue. So they have their own issues. But when it comes to automatic transmission, when you tell people the maintenance cost for automatic transmission of this Peugeot car is higher than the manual counterpart, they just don't want to acknowledge that reality. Because if it would make sense if you acknowledge it or understand or accept it before you purchase the car, then it wouldn't be a problem. You wouldn't be having the fear of transmission issues. The ATF recommended one or good alternative, they don't cost cheap. They are quite expensive. So for you to have those gearboxes to elongate their lifespan, at least to last much longer, even if everything will eventually wear out. I mean, no matter how you try, eventually they wear out. However, you can elongate it, you can stretch it. 10 years, 20 years, it's possible, irrespective of the model of the gearbox. For example, if you buy the, if you start to purchase the car new, yeah, you can actually make that. It's very much possible. But it's just that when you buy it in vehicle used, probably the harm was done before you purchase the car. So it might be unfortunate that even when you try to do as instructed by the manufacturer, at some point the driver will give up because the harm was already done. So all you are trying to do, all those trying to maintain the regular oil change and the rest was just at least a little bit before it eventually packed up. Compared to the one maybe when you bought it new, you kept doing as said, changing the oil every 30,000 kilometers with good or recommended or the alternative one. Be surprised. Be surprised that 500,000 kilometers or thereabout, the gearbox is still running, no problem. Doesn't mean we may running perfectly, but probably we never had any need to do any repair. So yeah, the maintenance cost is much higher. For the manual counterparts, those wrong oil we are using, because they are what we have available here in Nigeria, those wrong oil eventually wears out these gearboxes, those manual gearboxes. Make them noisy, cranky, have synchro issues, or sometimes they will just explode. Or yeah, there are cases where you see boom, you see the gearbox will crack, oil, pour everything, So manual, not even auto. Yeah, because the oil we use here are not meant for these gearboxes. But the thing is, manual gearboxes are very forgiving. If you use that quality of oil they use in manual here that are available, if you try it on automatic, I don't think it will last you a week. But for the manual, you'll be surprised. It may serve you more than 100,000 kilometers or close to that, or a few years before it eventually becomes that bad. Even as it's getting worse, the gearbox will become noisy. Some gears will not be working well. You're having synchro issues, this and that. So it will just be running. So and in terms of cost of replacement, they are much cheaper. So you hardly hear of any manual user complaining of replacing the gearbox. I have never come across one. I'm not saying at that point he feel that he will not feel that pinch that he's going to spend, some money to change the gearbox. But to come out and complain, I hate or I don't like owning a manual car because of the cost of changing the gearbox. No, they are very much cheaper compared to the automatic version. So the automatic version, if you don't want to, their gearboxes cost very high. So the only way you could do is do the best on the ATF. But then, funny enough, even the ATF, if you to get the right quantity with the recommended one, the cost of buying such ATF can actually buy you another automatic transmission. So sometimes logically you start wondering which one even make more sense. Let the gearbox die, since it's the cost of buying the ATF, we will buy another gearbox. But then you buy another gearbox, you still have to buy the recommended 80, unless you want to choose those non-recommended ones that are cheap, that probably over time will still kill the gearbox. So it's a choice you have to make, you know. So that's why I say maintenance. You just live in delusion sometimes, or don't want to accept that this is the reality. As in, if you are going to step up your maintenance cost, if you want that automatic in Peugeot cars, I've said it many times, at least maximum 30,000 kilometers, drain it the oil, change the ATF. I've done lots of videos on this. People, I don't know, just tend not to want to listen. So you can own automatic Peugeot car. There's nothing wrong with that. People with other brands also have issues with that. Maybe I'll come to that towards the end of the video. So just now let's talk about the another factor people tend to point out or concern they have with this automatic transmission in Peugeot car. The word they term unreliability, not durable, and the rest. Personally, I can say, okay, Peugeot ones are more problematic than the ones in Japanese or German cars or the rest. I will tell you this. I, as a technician, I have people that I have I contact with that actually they are technicians in various other models, Japanese cars, German cars, name it. Yet each time I visit them, their workshop, or for whatever reason, you see people bringing their cars for transmission issues. When I go to the market to buy parts, and the market, they have the part which the side of market that deal on Japanese or German car. You see lots of people coming in there buying their transmission, automatic transmission. Of course, almost like 99.9% of automatic gearboxes you find in the market for this other brand are automatic, not manual, because that's what you find on the road. You hardly see a manual Japanese vehicle or German vehicle. I see once in a while. That's what I'm saying. It's like 1% out of 10 or 100. So they are there, but how many? So what you see mostly, you see buying, keep changing. There is this guy. He's a technician. He's a specialist. All he does is repair. He repairs only automatic transmission for Japanese vehicles. Only. That's what he does. He doesn't do engine repair or any other mechanical repair, even electrical. He has a workshop. All he does is repairs or replaces automatic transmission for Japanese cars. He's so good that he hardly have any need to replace these gearboxes for them, so he does repairs. Now, for people complaining of Peugeot cars, high cost of automatic transmission or issues, I want you to pay attention to what I'm going to say concerning this guy. Each time you go to his workshop, the minimum cars you will see there, and remember, all he does is repairs, or maybe worst case scenario, may have to change depending on what the issue on that vehicle is in regards to the transmission. The minimum cars you see, to be honest, like 10 minimum. Now sometimes you come there and you look at 20 something to go to that. I mean, these are cars, you come, you queue up. You queue up. It's not like, no, even if you tow your vehicle, because that's each time I go to that workshop, because there's another Peugeot workshop around there. Each time I go there, in a day, you could see an average of 2 or 3 Toyota, this one, Kia, this one, they will tow them because the gearbox are packed up on the road. So the vehicle have to be towed. You stay there, you this until when it comes to your turn. How much does he charge? To be honest, let me put it a different way. The minimum he charges. This is somebody I have close relationship with. Okay, I don't know how close, but he's also an Igbo guy, so we understand each other. So we talk, we change. I've given. There's one guy I sent to him recently. You know that I know that had a gearbox issue with this Highlander. I think I did a video on that, and but my point, let me put it a different. The minimum he charges to all these repairs like 300,000. I was asking him the other day, how come? He said, some of these Japanese gearbox, the automatic transfer about 700, 800, 1 point something, 2 million, they are about to buy a Tukumbo automatic transmission. And yet, these things are failing constantly and they are bringing, so because they can't afford the 2 million, 1 point something, 800, 900,000 to replace this gearbox, they will rather give in that 300K or more, a little bit more, depending on the model of the transmission or how new the vehicle is or the model of the transmission is. So rather giving that amount to repair rather than spending 2, 3 million naira to buy another gearbox. There's another workshop actually around that place that the guy is just a BMW mechanic. He does. I know how many times he have changed transmission for people on those there new model. I'm not talking about older model transmissions or vehicle. I mean, like I said, all you need to go to the market. Just visit the market. People that sell engine and transmission, go there and check. I'm talking about the other brand of this thing. Go and check, see what they. As in, you see a store, he will load up this week with various like 20 or 30 engines with the automatic transmission attached. By next 10 days, you come there, you won't see any of those old transmissions you met 10 days ago there anymore. What you see another new load of about another 20 or whatever. So, um, I'm not saying Peugeot owns are more durable. I'm talking about transmission using Peugeot cars. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, it doesn't mean that those other ones don't have issues. Even when they do, they cost way higher to replace or to repair than those of Peugeot ones. It could be out of negligence because, like I said, maybe those ones used in those other Japanese or German cars were better built than the ones used in Peugeot cars, which I can disagree on that sometimes, depending. Because I know AL4, 4HP20. Yeah, these are German gearboxes that you find in other German cars or European brands, not just on Peugeot. So as they are giving issues in Peugeot cars like people have experienced, doesn't mean the same gearbox you find in other European cars or German cars, you expect they won't have that same issue. So, so in terms of durability or what to term on reliability, it's possible those people tend to use the wrong ATM or ignore or neglect the maintenance of changing the ATF at recommended intervals and expect the gearbox not to pack up or to have issues. So yeah, Peugeot ones they do also have issues, but not all. I know few, but I always say this, without being biased here. Out of 100 people I know that drive Peugeot automatic transmission, I've met 101. I'm not talking about the ones I met online or whatever. Out of them, I could say only about maybe five out of the 100, only about maybe five that have never had automatic transmission issues. But I mean, never had a reason to change or to repair or replace the automatic transmission is after, say, period of maybe 5, 2, 3, 4 years or 5 years of owning those cars. The rest, no, they've had problems. And of course, sometimes some people will be like, okay, the problem is not some necessarily something you have to, maybe it's not that significant, But when I drive them, I could tell there's a problem, but then it's not that big. It's not a major reason to start replacing or repairing. Something you could live with. For example, you could be doing that boom, but then if the owner is okay with that, then he's okay with that, as long as the gearbox doesn't pack up. But one thing I can tell you, out of those 100 people with this transmission and those five that have, those five, most times the transmissions have lasted because of their maintenance culture, changing the ATF with those recommended or good alternative. Now, when it comes to ATF, to be honest, I usually just stay silent, because there are people that will claim, oh, I'm using Wando and it has never given me problem. It's possible, because I've never, sometimes when they say that, okay, I'm not driving those cars, so maybe it's not actually having any shifting issue or having that banging issue. Some also use it for other different oil models that they claim they work. Maybe it's possible, and they are very cheap. There are some now in the market that, I mean, you can buy the 4 liters, 10,000 naira, compared to the recommended one. The 4 liters, you are looking at about 100,000. So I can't really say, but all I will say is, at least the recommended ones that I've used, talking about, or the good alternative that I've used to service gearbox, so I know people have used to service their gearbox that were giving symptoms of failure, and they service the gearbox, change the ATF, and the symptoms went away. So I would say yes, ATF could actually be a major factor to failures or damages of these gearboxes. So that's why sometimes I only recommend. It's okay. I don't know about these other non-recommended ones, but I know this one, it works, because I know people that tried it and it worked for them. But it doesn't mean that in your own case that it might work, because if the harm has been done already, you might change it and issue remain. So maybe those other people caught it on time when the symptoms started to come up, so they changed it, it went away. So be understand that some people, they won't even mind even if the gearbox will be failing, as long as it has to be automatic, they don't mind, as they just can't do it manual. So if it's automatic, if the gearbox fail, fine, we change it. It's something that's what I'm saying, being real. We see it's reality. There are some things to be like, no, see, I'm willing to compromise as long as I get what I want. And that compromise, if it's going to be taking some money from my wallet every 5 years or less or thereabout to change the gearbox or repair it, as long as I keep using it, as long as it remains automatic, why not? If you can afford it, the person, you trust me, you will never complain. I'll give you an example. I have a 505 V6, and so far in Abuja, we are like the only two persons that have this car. One is not even running. Well, the last time I spoke with the owner, the car was with me for how many years? Until, because of automatic transmission, his is manual. No, his is automatic, mine is manual. So we have to take it elsewhere until we resolve that transmission issue. Could you believe that to get alternator belt, the car has three drive belt, engine drive belt. It uses timing chain, the power steering belt, the AC compressor belt, and then the alternator and the water pump belt. So three belts actually. The alternator, the alternator belt also drives the water pump pulley. So three belts. So I had to order these three belts from USA. I'm not talking about all, as in directly from USA. Paid heavily via FedEx before I could get those belts, because I'm not available in Nigeria. Why? Because the engine is more like, I always say, use the word, it's an alien engine in Nigeria. Who will go and buy something nobody uses? or buy a parts for car that people don't use in that environment. So that's why right now anything that has to do with that engine, I will have to import. Any parts I will need for that engine, I will have to import. But I'm okay with that. I'm not complaining because like I say I made that compromise. I say okay, as long as it has this engine, I'm willing to compromise. I'm willing to go extra mile. So if automatic is something it has to be, you have to. That's why I say stay real, be pragmatic, accept reality. Maybe spending a little bit more by using the correct ATF might be the best thing for you. As long as it has to be that, you have to enjoy that automatic transmission. This is what you want. But people don't want to. They want to skip using that same. For example, if I'm being, oh, okay, I have a 5.5 EC, the parts are not available. So in that case, if the alternator belt fail, I'll go and use a rope so that I won't spend more than people that drive 504 or 505 with four-cylinder carburetor engine. I won't spend more than they spend in maintenance costs in Nigeria. Since their own are available in Nigeria, you can even get it maybe 500 naira or 1,000 naira for the belt. So if I can have to go and look for anything that can enter there, even if it's rope. That makes sound stupid, right? That's the point. So I'm willing. I know all these things that the parts are not easily available here. So I'm willing to do import if it comes to that, which costs that heavy. So if you want to buy buy a Peugeot vehicle with automatic transmission, be willing to accept that you have to spend more in maintenance cost of that car because of the transmission. Not necessarily every other thing. Because of the transmissions, the servicing of it. So it's possible that those cheaper ATF works. In that case, then it's a win-win for you. So you have to go and find out. Like there's one 407 with 3FY EW12J4 that I know. I've never driven the car. I don't know if the owner still has the car. I think he has sold the car. But I know the mechanic that works on the car says the man has owned this car for some years, traveled with the car. He has never had automatic transmission issue. But funny enough, a few times, 2 times, I will come and see the person using all this local ATM to service the gearbox. I'm talking of like there was one time that time was like 4,000 naira ATF for 4 liters. I mean, this is pure local, as in, I was like, what is exactly is inside the gearbox? But that's what he's been using. So maybe it was, that's what I'm saying. I've never driven the car to know, okay, how is the shifting is it banging? Is it doing this? It's possible it's doing that because of the wrong ATM. Maybe it's not, But then it depends on your value system as well. If you have the money, why go for the one that has a probability of or high probability of damaging your transmission when you can afford to buy that recommended one, even though it's more expensive, which you can afford anyway? So it shouldn't be a problem. So understand where you're going into. So it's not a problem to own a automatic transmission vehicle in Peugeot. And our advice, even though the ATCs, whatever, is among the best in terms of less problematic transmission for Peugeot cars, but don't take it for granted because I've seen one that failed. Of all the other people I know that use that transmission, only one failed. Because the ATF was overused. Hit close to 100,000 kilometers, or I think it failed around 80 or 90,000 thereabout. Failed, knocked as in complete. When we drain it, now before it happened, sir, we knew it was going to happen, but we tried to see if we can elongate it. The first drain, I mean, it was so dark and burnt. I'm talking about the ATF, so we knew the issue was already there. We were thinking that maybe over time, I don't know, if the fix itself. So do not take it for granted. ATC, the recommended ATF is here, is available in Nigeria, Total Station. If you go to Total Station, look for Fluidmatic MVLV. That's the recommended ATF for your gearbox. Don't wait for it to fail before you change it because, so to speak, is the most durable gearbox. No, it's not. Just like engine, as good as engine is, if you leave oil and the deteriorate so badly without changing it, eventually it will damage your engine. So, so I hope this makes sense. So buy automatic if you want it. You serve you. I know other people it has served. Be willing to, if you have to, spend that a little bit more. If it fails because you purchase used, you don't know whether then also understand as you are buying that you might have to change. That's why I tell people I've been buying automatic cars for. Everybody that purchased automatic transmission vehicle, be it Tokumbo, I always tell them, as good as this gearbox worked, performed well during the test drive, doesn't mean 2, 3, 4, 6 weeks behind, down the line that the transmission will not fail or start giving you problem. It's used. You are not the first person that used it. So if the harm has been done, it's just a question of time. It will become very pronounced, or it will manifest. You see it. So at that time, at least have the understanding that you might have to change it. And then when you change it, and if you are lucky to get a good one, then try at that time to start to use the right fluid to keep it running, and change it when it's due. Don't push it too long before you change the ATF. Um, I don't know, for manual users, I remember I used to import that ATF and sell. I think I'll do a different video on that and publish it, put it out there, not just for the Lion community. But this video is purely for the Lion community members. So I'm going to share it in those houses in the WhatsApp, possible also the one on Telegram. I might also share it in my YouTube channel. I mean, what's wrong with that? So I hope my position is made clear. So don't say manual transmission Peugeot cars are bad. You just have to be equal to the task, or you stay in your manual lane. All right.